Japan is not Europe. Japan is not America. But Japan has lost more than them for war they created. We will tell you all about it, but before that, if you're a fan of non-corporate funded free news and analysis, you've landed on the right YouTube channel. We publish 3 videos a day, first at 9:15 AM EST, second at 1:30 PM EST, and the third at 5:30 PM EST. So if that's of interest to you, next time you visit a church or a temple, pray for Japan's ignorance. Okay? Let's begin. Japan, often pictured as a compact powerhouse of innovation and discipline, is renowned for its global brands like Toyota, Honda, Panasonic, and Sony, symbols of unparalleled quality. This image, however, veils a less discussed reality. Japan's sovereignty is compromised, positioned more as an American protectorate since the end of World War II. The status is starkly illuminated by the enduring presence of the United States Forces Japan, USFJ, established in 1957, succeeding the Far East Command. USFJ functions under the US Indo-Pacific Command with a declared goal of ensuring stability in the Indo-Pacific. Yet a deeper look suggests its primary role is to monitor Japan and its surroundings, with approximately 50,000 US military personnel across the nation emphasizing this point. In recent Japanese history, Shinzo Abe stood out as a pioneering leader, remembered for challenging the post-war status quo. Under his guidance, Japan took significant steps, including amending the pacifist constitution imposed by the Allied forces. Abe's unique vision extended to mending fences with historical adversaries, notably Russia. His efforts towards a rapprochement with Moscow, marked by personal visits and warm diplomacy, hinted at a potential strategic realignment, aspiring for a robust Japan-Russia alliance. Abe saw this as unfinished business, crucial for Japan's future. However, Abe's assassination tragically cut short his ambitious plans, casting a long shadow over Japan's quest for a more autonomous diplomatic and security posture. In the aftermath, Japan appears to have reverted to a more conventional role within the sphere of US influence, a return to the familiar dynamics of an American vassal state, and the US's total domination of Japan has become extremely evident in the aftermath of the NATO-sponsored war in Ukraine. As the conflict in Ukraine enters its third year, the already complex relationship between Russia and Japan has further deteriorated. Historical disputes, particularly over the northern territories known as Southern Kuriles, have long marred relations. These disputes have prevented the formal conclusion of World War II hostilities between the two nations and have been exacerbated by occasional skirmishes. Despite these tensions, the period of Shinzo Abe's prime ministership between 2012 and 2020 saw a notable warming of relations between Japan and Russia, driven by mutual interest in trade and strategic positioning against China. Abe and Putin's relationship, characterized by personal respect and numerous meetings, facilitated trade and economic cooperation, with trade figures reaching significant highs during the decade. However, Russia's special operations in Ukraine in 2022 marked a turning point. Japan joined Western sanctions against Russia, removing its most favored nation status and implementing trade tariffs, which significantly impacted bilateral trade, reducing it to roughly $10 billion in 2023. Sanctions targeted key exports from Russia to Japan, including coal, and affected the import of Japanese cars and spare parts to Russia. Despite the economic downturn in Russo-Japanese trade, a report from JETRO indicated that a portion of Japanese companies have remained active in Russia. Meanwhile, Japan's stance on the conflict in Ukraine has included financial and humanitarian aid to Ukraine, and more recently, a contentious decision to revise its arms export guidelines, potentially facilitating indirect military support to Ukraine through the United States. Diplomatically, the situation has become tense, with Russian officials openly dismissing Japanese concerns over territorial disputes and Japan continuing to express its commitment to supporting Ukraine and imposing sanctions on Russia. In response to these geopolitical dynamics, Japan has also been proactive in supporting Ukraine's reconstruction, which is a euphemism for funding the war. Japan's economy is now the world's fourth largest, after it contracted in the last quarter of 2023 and fell behind Germany. Japan's economy was the second largest until 2010, when it was overtaken by China. Japan's nominal GDP totaled $4.2 trillion last year, while Germany's was $4.4 trillion or $4.5 trillion, depending on the currency conversion. While Western analysts talk about aging population and COVID-19 as the main culprits, they conveniently ignore the Russia factor. The average retail gasoline price in Japan has climbed to its highest level in 15 years. LNG prices hit a record high of $57 per million British thermal units in 2022 in the wake of lower Russian pipe supply. Japan had a chance. It gave it all up to please its masters. Sad. There is another country that's so scared of Russia that it is effectively asking to get colonized. Watch this riveting video to know more.